Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you'll meet a living legend in the hospitality industry. He owns Standard Pour and Parliament in Dallas. His incredible journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
So I think I'm cursed with a gene, and the gene is excellence. Everything that I touch has to be excellence. And when I run into somebody who also shares that same disease, if you will, I have to have them on my show. Eddie Lucky Campbell is on the show. He's with Standard & Poor and Parliament. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Well, I'm honored. I mean, your establishments are absolutely legendary. I want people to know your heart. So you started just as a child dishwashing.
That's right. I got my first actual real job before I was 16 years old. I was 14 years old. I had to get special permission from my parents. And I was a dishwasher at a nonprofit club there in Arlington, Virginia.
No kidding. Okay, so what was your trip into the restaurant industry? Did you start out bartending?
So I first knew that I was in love with the bar industry in particular, bar and restaurants, but the bar side of it when I was about 11 years old. So I had been dreaming about that for a long time. I was a dishwasher, and then I worked my way up to waiter positions. Worked in a few places. I was a host at Bennigan's at Seven Corners, Arlington, Virginia. Several waiter jobs. And then I arrived here in Dallas, Texas. I was about 22 years old, and I was a bar back on Greenville Avenue, hoping to be at Hick next for a bartender position.
Wow. Well, I know you're a humble guy, so I won't call you the king of mixology, but maybe I should. You are best known for your crazy concoctions and your attention to excellence when it comes to mixology. Where'd that come from?
Well, when this was all beginning, I think there was a little bit of a good timing, maybe. But when this all started, I did not consider myself a mixologist. I even thought that the name mixologist was a little bit egocentric, if you will. And in the way I looked at it was I was in front of a wall of flavors for approximately 40 hours a week. And I just couldn't imagine, how could you stand in front of a wall of flavors and not ever make your own concoction? And so I started doing things. Now, I had worked at a Cuban restaurant on Travis Street called Samba Room. And so I'd watched all the muddling of different fresh mojitos, and also watched the onset of champagne-based martinis known as the Flirtini on Sex and the City. And so if you put those two things together, which were about the same time period, I started thinking about, well, can we muddle fresh ingredients into champagne-based martinis? And somebody said, I think that's called mixology. So that's where it started. And but once the creative flavor bug, I mean, and let's be honest, there are worse gigs than making fun drinks for your bar guests, right? And so once that bug got me, I became obsessed. It was just nothing short of obsession. I read every recipe book, every old cocktail book I could get my hands on, and that's kind of how that happened.
Okay, I want to talk about Standard Pour. It's an iconic establishment. Let's go ahead and show the website. And as we scroll down the website, I want you to talk about the vibe. If somebody has never gone to Standard Pour, what is the vibe?
So I think the Standard Pour is a modern craft neighborhood tavern.
Yes.
A lot of times when you use the word tavern, people think more like maybe like a beer pub driven environment. But taverns were really the beginning of the whole bar scene, and I'm talking about in the 1800s. Taverns were gathering places for communities. Taverns were where people had meetings and got deals done. Taverns are often where you may celebrate that you're getting married, or you may be having a drink because your marriage is falling apart. But nonetheless, we have neighborhood taverns. We are so fortunate. We are in the best neighborhood you could be in, uptown Dallas, that is. And we specialize in craft. That's craft cocktail, craft beer. We like boutique wines. We like our food to be made with craftsmanship.
I found a wonderful video that's on the homepage of Standard Pour. Let's go ahead and roll that.
Such a neat guy.
You know what you remind me of? The movie The Greatest Showman. I mean,
Oh, wow.
You do have a little bit of the Barnum and Bailey thing, don't you?
Neat. Well, that is a special party. Those scenes, one with the fire juggler, the steampunk-driven guy, a very tall guy. He's on stilts, obviously. The trapeze artist inside. That, I have to tell you, is a very special party. It is a repeal day party, so it is honoring the repeal of Prohibition, and it is on the anniversary of Repeal Day, which may go down as one of the greatest drinking days in U.S. history, was the original Repeal Day. That party is the brain and heart child of another just brilliant craft cocktail maker in this town, Brian McAuliffe. Brian McAuliffe is one of the original partners at the Standard Pour. That was 100% his idea, and that party was just over the top. It was the best party in the city as far as I'm concerned.
Brilliant. You have a vibrant Instagram page. Let's go ahead and scroll down the Instagram page because they have amazing images. And as you kind of like scroll down this, what catches your eye?
Well, I love those cinnamon buns for brunch. Those are my favorite. But let me tell you something. If you go a little further down that list, the drinks are often very colorful. We love the pictures of people gathering. We honestly, that makes you feel the best. When you own a neighborhood tavern and you see people at a table gathering, having cocktails, celebrating, and having fun together, that's when you feel like if you had a guest at your home and you see him having a great time, that's when you feel like, oh, we did a good job at something.
Yes.
So that makes me happy. I love to see the couples at the bar and so forth. But I'm very proud of our Instagram page. Katie Appleton is our photographer and Instagram coordinator, and she takes amazing drink pictures.
Okay, let's talk about Parliament. We're going to scroll down the homepage of Parliament. Talk about the vibe in Parliament. How does it differ from Standard Pour?
So I feel that Parliament probably feels a little bit European. There's a little bit of avant-garde inspiration there. So often, when you get into craft cocktails and mixology, it starts to become synonymous with Edison light bulbs and curling mustaches, right? But that really has really nothing to do with it. And everybody thinks that we're supposed to pretend we're a speakeasy. Well, the original cocktail venues that really brought about the golden age of the cocktail, which was before Prohibition, These were places that invited everybody in. So we're like a sidewalk cafe of craft cocktails at Parliament. And I remember when we were building Parliament, there was a great movie that had come out called Midnight in Paris. And there were great scenes of Hemingway and Picasso drinking together in these little avant-garde, places across. Obviously, it was set in Europe. And I always thought, gosh, if I could make a cute little bar look like one of those, I will feel so good living in there for the rest of my life. And so that was our hope. And so I love fabric on the walls, and I love chandeliers, and I love big back bars with tons of booze on them.
Okay, as long as we're talking about booze, you do all these amazing drinks. I found a special video. Let's roll this, and I want you to kind of narrate this for us. It's a drink in a pineapple.
Okay, well, that's a copper pineapple. That's a cool thing. It's a decorative move there. But yes, it is a big copper pineapple. And so one of our head barmen over at Parliament, his name is Jared Beal. And I'm going to tell you, Jared Beal is a self-taught craft bartender. And Jared Beal will do anything to make the guest in front of them feel special. And he started doing extremely decorative, over-the-top, elaborate presentations involving lights. A lot of our craft peers would view different color lights as a little too disco for the mixology world. I guess it's not curly mustache enough, right? But we skip all of that. I'm going to tell you, Jared Beal's heart is beautiful, and he lives for entertaining the person who's sitting in front of him.
Wow.
And so that really is his doing. I support it full-heartedly, but that is a round of shots that Jared makes that are like, they're kind of like spiced daiquiris, like baking spices with lime, little sugar, and rum. And then, he puts them in. That is not even the most elaborate thing Jared Beal does. He puts them in more elaborate.
Well, we can't have a legendary mixologist in the studio without you having pour us a drink. So why don't you start with a concoction, and as you're doing that, I want you to also talk about your new concept that is opening soon, Thomas Avenue.
Thomas Avenue Beverage Company. So I am so excited. Thank you so much for asking, Jeff. Believe it or not, when I moved to Dallas 25 years ago, I started working in a restaurant, and after that first shift was over, the other waiter said, "You should come and join us. We're going to go to this little bar." And they brought me to Thomas Avenue Beverage Company in the same location. It was the first bar I went to. So here we are. So Standard Pour and Parliament, even though Standard Pour is on McKinney Avenue, both of them are on Allen Street. And Thomas Avenue Beverage Company is also on Allen Street. So all three of our bars are in the same 4 blocks on the same street. And it is like the coolest thing ever. I just love it. I'm very
GLBC, which is a salute to the governing body.
It's so the ones who keep us safe, right? So really, the way that was, there were some group of clever guys that opened the Thomas Avenue Beverage Company, or TABC, many years ago. It was there 25 years. It closed approximately 15 years ago, and when we were able to get the lease on this space, which we had wanted for years. We kept telling people, it's down on the corner there. It's down on the corner. The old Thomas. They would sometimes say, "Oh, you mean the old TABC location?" So after a little while, we stopped fighting, and we said, why are we trying to name this something different? Everybody knows the space as the Thomas Avenue Beverage Company.
Brilliant.
Great.
Okay, what do we make?
Okay, I'm going to start you off with a little healthy gimlet, and it's something that's on the Thomas Avenue Beverage Company menu. So this is a vodka gimlet. We make it with thyme-infused vodka. I'm so embarrassed, Jeff. I left my ice over there. I need to go and get the ice. Actually, somehow if you bring me that bucket of ice right here, that's just great. Let's see. You had to forgive me. I'm used to my bar back being nearby. That's okay. We're just sit right there. Okay. So, we have, I'm going to tell you, Uptown Dallas may be one of the most healthy communities in Texas, that is. And we have people out walking their dogs day and night, this, that. So we knew we needed something that was a little health conscious on our menu. So this is, like I said, a gimlet. This is made with a thyme-infused vodka, fresh lemon, little bit of thyme, cucumber, ginger, and a little green melon.
Awesome. I'm going to let you do your thing.
Great. It's been a while since I did this, not behind a bar.
Okay.
Not behind a bar. I can handle it, though. Here we are. Forgive me, I get a little more ice here.
You bet.
Okay, so this drink, we really like, at Thomas Avenue Beverage Company, our drinks will have nice and somewhat elaborate garnishes. And this one has a particularly fun garnish that borrows a little bit of molecular gastronomy practices.
I don't think I've ever heard those two words together.
So molecular gastronomy is a food-based science, so to speak. It honestly has been used the longest probably in candy making, where you can change the forms of certain ingredients.
Yes.
And in our case, we are going to present green melon, like basically bursting boba. They're pearls with a liquid center.
Wow.
Let's see here. Get that right for us. Okay, so the way this is made is we would create a solution, and with that solution, we would add calcium lactase. And then you have a second solution, which is a chilled water bath that has sodium alginate. When calcium lactase reacts with sodium alginate or vice versa, it quickly forms a skin, leaving the inside liquid.
And so,
So these literally will burst in your mouth.
wow.
That's perfect.
But it looks like a bubble tea or something.
I've got a couple here on your studio floor when you're ready for it. Has them there for you. All right. So let me give you one more sprig of thyme. Okay, so this drink is on the new TABC menu, and it's called Karma Chameleon.
Okay. That is delicious.
Fun, huh?
That is really, really
A lot of fun. Not too sweet, but still a lot of flavor going on.
It's perfect.
And you can kind of almost tell it probably makes you almost feel a little healthy after you drink.
It does. Okay, I'm going to enjoy this. And then you have one more drink you want to make for us.
Oh, the next one is so much fun. So we have now, if you don't know, Thomas, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Thomas Avenue. The Standard Pour is a top 50 bourbon bar in the country. Couple bragging rights, and I'll be honest, a lot of our neighborhood doesn't even realize it. They just like come in. I'll tell you what they tell me. But we are a top 50 bourbon bar in the country, and we also make more Moscow Mules than any bar in the world. It is a true and proven statement, and we get no credit for it. You know what they do tell me? If I walked from Standard Pour to 7-Eleven and back, at least 3 people will stop and talk to me about the chicken strips. The best chicken strips in the world. They don't even care about our bourbon selection or anything. They want to know, how do we think of those chicken strips? So that was our dear friend Chef Peja opened the Standard Pour there. Okay, well, with our bourbon selection there and so much that we have going on in Parliament, along the way, we started smoking cocktails. And it is fun to smoke old fashions. So here we are doing something pretty new and innovative here. We are doing a smoked buttered apple old fashioned.
Okay.
The smoking part probably everyone has seen before, but the buttering of the spirit is an interesting thing. It's a process called fat washing. Okay. And this one, I already have it pre-made for us here. Okay. So this is a buttered apple bourbon.
Okay.
And you would take something like sometimes people will make bacon vodka or bacon bourbon.
Yeah.
And I've even known of people to make like a steak flavored whiskey, usually like a rye whiskey, using the fat renderings from making a steak.
Yeah.
And so you take the fat. Sometimes in rum, it will even do a coconut fat wash. So that's kind of fun. Wow. And you take the fat. In our case, it's just straight butter. We've seasoned the butter with baking spices.
Wow.
And the bourbon is an apple infusion. And we put the baking spice butter into that bourbon, somewhat melted. We leave it there for a couple days, just whisking it around from time to time. And when we're ready for it to come out, we put it in the freezer, super simple. And the freezing just takes all the fat straight to the top, makes it easy to remove. We take it right back off. But the mouthfeel, just think about the difference between biting into a piece of broccoli versus a piece of salmon. That the mouthfeel is so much richer. You're gonna see in just a second here.
Do you consider yourself something of an artist?
I think it's so fun. I guess I think maybe I do a little bit, but I consider myself a bartender. Even if I haven't bartended forever, I feel like I am here to serve people. I'm here to take care of people. What do you like? Let me try to make something for you. And it's so funny because obviously there is art and creativity behind it, but I never go, oh, I'm an artist. I never do.
Right. Where does this excellence gene come from?
Well, that'd be my mom and dad. That'd be my mom and dad. My mom entertained a lot when we were young. My mom likes to throw big parties. My mom was a colonel in the Marine Corps.
Wow.
And but she was also the head of all of our PTAs, would head up our school fair. And I promise you, here in about 5 hours, when everybody else is going to bed, she'll be making brownies for the church bake sale. And she just never stops wanting to entertain. And I think that I may have got that gene.
Well, and I, as you're describing, what goes into your cocktails, there would be a lot of ways to cut corners and do it more cost effectively, but you're not cutting corners.
Well, you will, and when you're dealing with really good cocktails, you would taste it if we cut corners. So you really have to do it fresh. Now, we do try to speed it up anywhere we can. As you can see, I'm not very successful at speeding it up. But we try. So often in the craft cocktail world, you will see bartenders who feel overly emphasize their role as educators. Don't get me wrong. I love educating people about cocktails. But not to the point that they can't get what they want because they're being bombarded with education they didn't ask for. And you will also start to see a cocktail pretension set in that is kind of like, I'll get your drink when I'm ready. And I feel like that is not tending the bar. It's in the name. You're a bartender. First, you help everybody and get them what they want, and you do it as fast as you can so that they're not having to wait because it's polite. And then if they like to know, you get them some education and so forth like that. But it is so strange to me when I see, and I think it gives craft cocktail bartending somewhat of a bad name because I think it's a bit pretentious to bartend that way. Our job is to tend the bar.
And now when you smoke, you actually smoke it in the...
So I like to smoke it in the decanter. There are other smoking practices that you will see bartenders sometimes have a smoking box. And I feel the smoking box really smokes just the surface of the, let's see if I can figure out how to get that to work. Watch out here. It'll smoke up pretty fast there. So I feel the smoking box is really good. It doesn't take a lot of smoke to bring the flavor of smoke into a cocktail. But the smoking box really focuses on the surface and even the outside of the drink.
Yeah, I'm about to find out how good our smoke detectors are. If we're drenched in water here, this will go on a blue arrow.
All right. Need great cherries.
That was great.
Need great cherries in an old fashioned. Here we go. I'm going to use this nice lemon twist here.
And what do you call this?
So this is our smoked buttered apple old fashioned. And it's smoked with apple wood.
Wow.
Here we are.
Man, this is so cool.
Well, I think you're going to enjoy this a lot. The smoke complements these flavors a lot, but I think you're going to feel the mouthfeel. It's a richer flavor as the butter fat wash coats your mouth with the flavors of this drink. We also, like I said, we fold baking spices into the butter before we use it in our butter fat wash, so to speak.
Eddie, can you come over every afternoon at the same time?
I'm in.
My,
Isn't that something?
so smooth.
Yeah.
Yes,
Really neat.
I taste all of the flavors. Okay, we've got about 2 minutes left.
Sure.
So in the final 2 minutes, I want you to look into the camera on the left, and I want you to talk about excellence and why everybody who is running a business should practice that and preach that.
All right, this is a great question. This is a deep question here. So I think excellence is ultimately will provide a great outcome. If you strive for excellence, your guest service will be better. Or if maybe you're in a business where you're making a product, we do both. We provide an experience, we provide service, we make a product. But even if you're in any part of that, it would be better if you're striving for excellence. Excellence is also a challenge to yourself. Can I be more excellent? Can I do this better? Can I make that person happier? Can I make that drink taste better? And you're striving for excellence. And I think that there is kind of like this great karmatic feng shui that goes along with it, that if you're trying your hardest, it's kind of like that saying, aim for the sky. If you fall short, you're still among the stars, which is kind of goofy because the sky's before the stars, right? But if you aim for great, even if you fall off, you're still in the good, and so forth. So if you're striving for excellence, there's a weird kind of karmatic thing that happens that I think people can actually taste and feel when somebody's doing it. It's almost like a sixth sense that people have, and I think that they actually end up bringing their excellence back to you because of it. It's kind of magical thing that happens there.
Eddie, you inspire me. We're out of time. I'm going to leave you with all three of the websites that we mentioned. We're going to start with parliament.com, and then we're going to go to Standard Poor Dallas. That's tsdallas.com. TSP, that's right. And then finally, tabctavern.com. tabctavern.com. Eddie, I'm blown away. Thank you so much for practicing what you preach. Thank you so much for these beverages.
Jeff, thank you so much. Thank you. So exciting.
You bet.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.